Today we're going to talk a bit about calibrating the laser measurement system. Why do I calibrate? What should you keep in mind? If you're interested, stay tuned. Today with another episode of Measurement Minutes. And as already mentioned, we'll talk a bit today about calibrating our laser measurement system. What do you need for this? Your laser, of course, and a reference tool for calibration. What happens during calibration? To put it quite simply, we can calibrate with our reference tool, or more specifically, we accurately determine the precise switching points of our laser by utilizing our reference tool. The determined switching points are then stored fully automatically in the cycle in the corresponding parameters and are used again for measurement. Perhaps you are now wondering when I need to calibrate it. Quite simply, for example, if you have moved your system, dismantled it, and now want to measure it again. Or if you simply want to measure accurately, I would always recommend calibrating your system when the machine is at operating temperature and then measuring your tools. In other words, during the setup process, these would be reasons why I calibrate, for example, or when you should calibrate. Now that you're clear on why and when to calibrate, let's move forward to the process of how we actually perform the calibration. For this step, I usually prefer to use a lint-free microfiber cloth to ensure my reference tool is properly cleaned. Next, we carefully place the whole thing back into the machine. Of course, you can also do it in the machine. However, you should pay attention to the engraved tool data. In other words, the length and radius on your tool holder should be stored correctly in your tool table. You can create a program for this, or simply type it into the MDI, just like I'm doing now. First, I call up my tool, then I set the spindle speed and direction, and finally, I make the cycle call. This is the standard process I follow every time. If you're unsure how the cycle call works, you can either take a look at the laser control documentation or check out the Blum Measure Expert app, which is available for download in both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Our reference tool is changed in, the spindle is switched on, and then our cycle starts. As you can see, the reference tool now moves into the LC50D IGI-LOG laser. It's as simple as that. Of course, we have now calibrated here in the MDI. Of course, there are also customers who integrate their calibration cycle into the machine's warm-up program. That's entirely up to you how you handle it. A quick tip from me regarding the speed setting. I would suggest using a speed setting that's positioned somewhere within the mid-range of your processing. Before I forget, you know how it works. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. See you next time, and as always, stay process safe.